and why direction is so important is just, focus is key. Focus is super key. Where focus goes, energy flows. Yes.
Alright guys, welcome back. This is a Vancouver Hustlers show. I am your host Umair.
And I am your co-host Joshua Adera, and today we have
Rachel Alford.
Yeah, here we come.
some kind of
Here we come. Here we come. Here we come.
awesome. Alright, some awesome Rachel. We got Rachel here today. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, primarily I would say I'm an artist. I am also a vocalist, a singer. I also do modeling as well. I've been a model for about a year now, but primarily a visual artist in painting and sculpture and performance art as well.
Nice. Awesome. And when did you figure out this was kind of like your passion? This is something you love to do?
Oh boy. I mean, for me, art was kind of the weirdest thing because I felt art was more pushed onto me rather than me choosing art. Well, no, because I was always the artistic kid. Whenever we had an art project in class, it became, she's the artsy one. It became like a label. It was the one positive thing about me as a child.
Right.
Well, no, because just a lot of bullying when I was young. So that was like the redeeming factor, yeah, she's weird, but she's the artsy one.
Okay.
So we're going to bullying about what?
Oh, I was a very chubby child.
I can relate to you there.
Yeah, I was a really chubby child. I had really dark, like body hair in general.
Okay.
My younger brother didn't help. He thought it was hilarious. He started the nickname Sasquatch, and that just caught on.
Yeah. The whole school?
Yeah.
Oh.
Absolutely. The entire school.
Was that all throughout high school?
No, just elementary.
Just elementary.
Luckily.
Okay.
What's your brother's name?
Trey.
Trey, that's all they're gonna just say fuck you Trey at the end here, right? 1, 2, 3. Fuck you Trey.
I didn't even say it.
Okay, but the thing is that I wouldn't have the thick skin that I have today without that.
Right.
That's true.
So I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta
blessing
embrace it.
and a curse.
Definitely.
Gotcha.
No, I'm glad because a lot of kids, right? They get bullied. They go take like a suicide. I don't know, like obviously there's other
Or they do-
psychological conditions.
Or they do
There's
the
other
same
factors
thing,
involved,
right?
But
Yeah.
Yeah,
They do the same
what they'll
thing.
do is obviously they can't bully at school, but they'll go home and bully their siblings.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, so.
Oh, there's three of us, and man, we were brutal. Well, no, especially because we were raised by a single dad for the majority of it.
Okay.
So
That's pretty
after-
awesome.
Yeah, so then after my
Shout out to your
mother had
pops,
left, after my mother had left, it just became brutal because he was only there half the time.
Yeah,
Because he
gotcha.
tried to support all of us, right?
Right.
So he's constantly working, hustling, I suppose, to make ends meet. So, yeah, between the three of us, all kinds of rough play, horseplay, tricking each other, jokes on each other.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So bringing you back from being the artsy kid
Yes.
to like the kid, like transitioning from being bullied to the artsy kid, what really turned you into that artsy kid?
I mean, that became the good thing about me. That became what the teachers really focused me into. They really guided me and pushed me into that. I spent a lot of time outside of class because I was constantly getting into fights anyhow. So I guess art became a kind of peaceful place for me. It became, I wouldn't say an escape necessarily, but it became a place of recognition, attention, admiration, something that didn't have to be horrendous, something that didn't have to be ugly. It was something that I could just create something that still represented myself, but wasn't myself because at that point I wasn't fond of who I thought I was at that point.
Gotcha. And what age did you kind of like figure that out with like art?
I think I really started taking art seriously at the end of middle school and going into high school. But I mean, I was also taking music seriously at the same time. It was right around the age of 14
Cool.
that I really
Music.
started to take both of those really seriously.
Instrumental or vocal?
Vocals. Yeah, it was always vocals. Like I played around with guitar multiple times. I actually tried to teach myself piano as a child constantly.
Yeah.
I actually ended up with 5 different keyboards because I thought it was the keys and not me, but evidently it wasn't. So at around 14 is when things started to become more serious for me, and I started to dedicate a lot more time to both of those fields. I was constantly watching a YouTube channel called Singing Success, always trying to like develop my voice, learn new
Gotcha.
skills, like how can I sing the higher notes, how can I, you know, do different tones, and that stuff really excited me because it worked. And I still, like, I'm preaching that channel to everyone who wants to sing. Yeah, if you want to sing, go listen to Singing Success. Go watch them. They're fantastic.
Even if like you're being like really bad and you just want to go.
Oh,
and
absolutely,
sing.
yeah. No, I've
So
taught
that's what
some of my
okay.
friends who are absolutely horrendous and
Yeah.
made them decent.
Ooh, okay.
There is hope. No, seriously,
There's
if
hope,
you
yeah.
can, if you can talk, you can sing.
Okay.
I believe that firmly
How
because
long-
it's exactly the same mechanism.
How long would you say it take if you're practicing every day?
Does it depend on the person too?
I mean, sure, you could say it depends on the person, but I think it's relatively universal.
Yeah.
I mean, it really depends on how in tune you
Yeah.
are with your body.
Right.
Mhm.
Bodily awareness is key as a
Yeah.
vocalist. You know, you gotta know what's going on in your body. You're like, oh, is this a groggy day? Is it slow? Am I actually warmed up? Am I relaxed? You gotta be really in tune with those factors. And really being able to like feel where the resonance is being placed, you know, inside your head and your chest and the bridge in between.
It just comes with like practice.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Playing with your voice, do not be afraid to sound stupid in practice.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. I'm trying to like teach a friend something and they're like trying to make it pretty. I'm like, no man, make it ugly because that's what matters right now is just figuring out where that sound is supposed to actually like feel and where it's supposed to be rather than, you know, trying to make it pretty and then placing it in the wrong spot and all of a sudden you're straining and you're going down the wrong road.
Interesting.
So number wise, if you were to like start from today or batching your, how long from now would you think you'd get decent? Or at least start to see like actual progress, you know?
I mean, personally, I'd say like a month.
A month.
Not even. Honestly, if you're doing it consistently, if you're really taking the time and being patient with yourself to like feel it out, not push too hard, month. You'd see a dramatic improvement in your voice.
Cool.
But
And
you're
within a
as soon as
year-
you get home.
No,
yeah. And within a year, you'd probably be blowing everyone away.
That's
Wow.
cool. But with that though, you'd have to be like, obviously for the audience too, you have to be consistent, right? Because it's the one thing
Yeah.
of like, you go 1 week hard and then it's like at the end of the year, it's like, what? I still can't sing. I fall guilty in that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, my siblings gonna hate me, right? When I was 16? Probably 16 years old, I wanted to play guitar.
Mhm.
So I begged my parents to buy me a guitar, they bought me a guitar. Begged my parents to give me lessons, they got me lessons. It was probably like 2-3 weeks later, I was like, you know what, guitar's not for me. And, then, and everyone's
Sounds like
telling
me
me,
piano. Like,
everyone's telling me,
really
don't buy a
so
guitar. Because guitars, they're not really expensive, but still $100, $200,
Yeah,
right?
it's
We're not a
still
rich family,
investment, yeah.
right? And then lessons are like $25 an hour or something like that. So going to like 2 weeks of lessons with the guitar, like, oh, you fucking idiot, right? But
What was that for?
you actually have the passion, right?
Yeah.
And like we were talking before the podcast, the whole yours was a 90-day challenge. I'm gonna be embarking on a 30-day
Yeah.
challenge where you need to go through those so you can see that do you have the self-discipline to do it every day, even days you don't want to do it.
Oh, absolutely, and that's the hardest part. The days you don't want to, you really gotta be a salesman to yourself.
Yeah.
You really gotta master that self-talk, that kind of negotiations.
And how does that conversation with yourself kind of like look for you?
Honestly, if I can get past like the first 10, 20, even 30 minutes, I'm usually good. Usually, like 9 times out of 10, if I can just, you know, like during that particular project, if I got to the canvas and at least, you know, yeah, did the underpainting or, you know, just rendered one feature of the portrait or, you know, filled in this one detail, it's usually enough, not only to sell myself into actually sitting down and doing it,
Yeah.
but then, you know, you get engaged and all of a sudden you're painting away for the next 2 or 3 hours.
Right.
Talking about painting, right? What goes into painting? Like,
Oh.
let's just say I'm new here, which
Okay.
I am to the new paintings. Well, I'm not a painter, but let's just say I'm
Right,
like,
okay.
hey, you know what? I want to be a painter, right? And Rachel, I want you to teach me. Like, what's like the fundamentals to a painting?
I mean, it really depends on what you're looking for. Are you trying to talk about like photorealism? Are you talking about abstraction? Are you talking about expressionism? I mean, it really depends on which niche you fall into.
What's your like your favorite
Expertise.
go-to or your expertise?
My expertise, currently I've gotten really good at portraits.
Portraits, okay,
Portraits and abstracts,
okay.
just kind of one or the other.
So kind of like give us
Yeah.
like your tips and like or like an insight of how to get started or how to do it.
The best quote that I ever heard about art was again from David Bowie, because I'm obsessed. But he made an example, or what's the word, a metaphor, that art is very much like flying a plane. Only when the plane crashes, everyone gets up and walks away unscathed.
Oh, wow. Give me
Yeah.
a second to get that.
Yeah.
Damn.
No, because seriously, as artists and creatives alike, I feel that we can all resonate with the idea when things are going badly, it's like life and death, and oh my god, it's never going to be the same, and this mistake is everything, and how can I recover from this, and you know, how can I fix it, how can I save the piece? Not all pieces are meant to be saved.
Yeah.
Some pieces are just meant to be learned from, okay, that didn't work.
Right.
Let's just leave this up on a shelf somewhere
Right.
as a reminder that don't do that.
Or burn it.
No, don't. No, okay. Never burn a canvas, okay?
Go into a bonfire, guys. Just take your paintings that you don't like.
Hey, every square inch of that canvas is worth money. It's not to
That's
be wasted.
true.
You can just gesso over that baby. Like,
How
why waste?
How much is your painting expensive cost in a year, roughly?
I honestly, I make a robbery out of Michael's, like the coupons and everything, the discounts. It's really hard. It's really tough for me to say. Like, I mean, and especially for that particular project, I had bought I went to, what's it called? I went to like a wood store,
Okay.
just kind of your basic plywood store, and I bought like a 4x8 sheet of press board, which was like $40. And I'd asked the guy who I was speaking to, and he actually recommended me press board over a different product. And I'd asked him if he would cut it all into little 5x7s. And the guy liked me so much, we ended up having this huge conversation, just completely connected, and built that rapport right up. And he ended up just doing all those cuts. It was easily like 200-300 cuts for only $20.
Wow.
No, wait, it was 40.
$20.
That's where he maxed it out, because he was like, I ideally should have charged you like $150 for all those cuts. But I like you and I want to see the work that comes out of this, so I'm
that's
starting at
incredible.
40.
Yeah.
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 No, it's incredible. It's incredible what just talking can do.
Was
for you.
$40 with the wood or just for the cuts?
Just for the cuts, and then another 40 for the wood, so about $80.
$80. That's
yeah,
not bad for
$80
90
for the
canvases.
wood.
Okay.
And that was for about 200. For about 200 canvases, yeah.
Wow.
I had about 180 pieces of 5x7s press boards.
How long does that take to cut?
I didn't cut it.
Well, for like dude to cut it, like were you watching it?
No.
Oh, you just order and then you.
Yeah, he gave me the first 60 pieces. Like right then and there. It took him like maybe 15 minutes to cut them all up. He gave me the first 60 pieces. I was like, great. And he's like, I'll call you when they're done. He called me like a week later. Because he just like, I don't know, it took him a while. But yeah, I have no idea how long it actually took him.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a lot.
I can imagine, like, yo, like a little piece of wood, you start with a big, oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nuts, so 200 pieces, you just, okay, and then do you need a special cloth to put over the wood or something?
If you're building a traditional canvas, yes, but because this is a press board, I had actually gone to a wonderful local art store called Colors, bought their specific brand of gesso, because again, great deal. I think I spent 80 on like 1.5 gallons, maybe about 1.5 to 2 gallons of gesso, which is an incredible amount.
Yeah.
For $80. It's wonderful, because like Golden charges like almost 40
For the little one.
for like 2 quarts, which is like half a gallon, not even.
Right.
Anyhow, and I was so impressed with how this gesso turned out on the press board. I was so impressed. I prepped them all myself. I did one layer, sand in between, let it all dry out, and then do another layer, sand it slightly, and then let it dry again. And that took me about 2 weeks to get to all of them, because I did them in batches, like whenever I had the free time to do it. But all that prep work made my life after that so much easier. Every time I had an experiment, because I knew the value of these pieces were so cheap, I did the math, and they're like not even $1.
Okay,
When I
that's,
did the math.
that's what I was thinking, right? Just with like my mindset, I'm asking,
Mm-hmm.
would you ever think about like turning this into a business or you just make
Oh,
things?
absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, I gotta build a portfolio too.
That's
Right,
true.
right.
You know
No,
what
but
I mean? And that was-
I mean like you just as you selling the press boards, how much would it cost to buy a ready-made one?
Oh, this guy's trying to do that.
They don't exist, that's
They don't
me.
exist. Oh,
That's me
so
doing the work.
Wow.
So then you can put any number on there.
Right.
Yo, it costs you
Yeah,
approximately
absolutely.
$2 to make, you sell for 15 to $20. Your
Profit.
boom. We're gonna make some business out of this video.
Right after we're done, right?
I know, and everyone's gonna be doing press performance and I'm, out of the job.
Right?
Oh shoot, these guys they
They're
already
all live.
know.
They're right
Oh,
there.
no.
We have any people on there?
Got a couple,
We got a
kind of
couple,
coming
there
and
we go.
going, coming
Yeah.
and going.
That's what happens with live. They
Oh.
come and go.
That's
true,
hilarious.
Wow.
That's cool. So then you had your canvases and 90 days.
They're already pre-prepped, so I just, the most important thing about your artist for 90 days is that all of the ideas behind each work were not my own.
Okay.
I was completely subjective to the viewer. I asked for participation online, like I asked through that Instagram, I posted on my Facebook, I posted in Facebook groups I was in, just to find people who would be interested in participating or having a painting done, even like portraits, like sky was the limit. I put no boundaries on it really.
Yeah.
And so I had people just say, would you do this? Send an image or how about this idea? Or, they'd say, listen to this song and come up with something.
Whoa, that's cool.
Right?
Yeah.
That's really cool. You've
Right.
done that before? You listen to music and start painting a picture just
Absolutely, yeah.
wow.
Those ones I tend to go abstract with because it's
yeah.
much easier for me to just
Keep adding pieces.
capture a feeling and just go with it and then
Uh-huh.
how I interpret it through colors, textures, whatever have you.
That's powerful.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Right?
I love those
To
ones,
turn
I love those.
sound into, because apparently, I don't know if this is true, but Kanye says it's a
Synesthesia.
disease. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does?
It is true.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Historically, there's many cases of many famous artists who've had the condition.
He says he sees sounds.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's why his music is so nice, because he's actually seeing the perfect picture.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he's a perfectionist too.
Wow.
So
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mhm.
And so what does the word art mean to you?
Gosh, after performance art, I don't even know. No, seriously, performance art kind of ruined any other pre-consumptions I had about art.
Okay, and
What do you-
more
what do you-
specific to plays and stuff, or?
No, okay, performance art is its own separate sort of niche within art itself. And what performance art tries to do, there's basically two or three main categories, I'd say. You can try to create a live experience,
Okay.
whether that's, having participants go through something
Okay.
or witness something. A lot of it's based on spectacle.
Okay.
Getting the reaction of an audience, and that's kind of an art. Or there's even creating a submersive experience. There was actually a piece that went on for quite a while back in the fall there, where there's this artist who had gone through a really traumatic experience, and so she kind of wanted to recreate what recovery was like in the hospital. She literally rented out a venue, brought in hospital beds, and had media up on the screens, that kind of, and you had headphones too. So you were just completely submersed into this interactive experience as a participant. And that's, another really popular sort of stream of performance art. And sometimes it's really object-based, where it's really more about the relics of what's left over from, for example, in the first case, where you're witnessing something and then the relics are left behind, and that itself becomes almost like a gallery viewing
Cool.
That's so
for
cool.
people to kind of put the pieces together afterwards.
That's
Right.
the crazy thing about art, man. There's so many.
I didn't know about
It's
that.
everywhere.
You give us a free
Yeah.
lesson.
Yeah, for
Right.
real. Because I thought performing arts was just plays, musical. I thought they were all jumbled up into that.
Right.
No,
No.
absolutely not. No,
No.
performance art is separate than what I'd say the performing arts are.
Performance arts and
Performing are
art.
two different things. Mind blowing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
boom.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, there's so much. So, I mean, to really define art in one singular way, I can't at this point. There's so many things. It
Yeah.
really depends on
To
what
be honest,
exactly you're
though.
trying to convey.
That was an awesome
Answer.
answer, though.
Oh, yeah.
The definition was just a peak. Gives an insight of.
Well,
Yeah.
especially because performance art, one of the main goals originally performance art was to make art non-commodifiable.
Yeah.
Unsellable, because it wasn't a physical object. It
Yeah.
wasn't a 3D or 2D thing. It was, an experience. It was live. It was, you can't create it again. It was very philosophical in a sense.
Like in the moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
Performance is exactly about in the moment. Yeah.
Cool.
I'd agree with that.
Cool.
So, do you what's that word when you do stuff on the spot?
Improvise?
Improv.
No,
Improv?
Improv.
Improv.
Do you what's your thoughts on improv then?
improv as an acting technique,
Yeah.
really difficult. Absolutely difficult. I have so much appreciation, because I grew up in drama too. Like I was in musical theater, that just kind of went hand in hand with the whole music thing.
Do you think it makes you better though, the more you practice improv?
Absolutely.
Or does it, yeah?
Well, yeah, why not? You
it
become
puts-
a much wittier person. I think
Right.
you become funnier in a sense because you're wittier.
Right.
And I think you're just better off on your feet if you do improv because, you know, I think it also just increases your chances of saying why not.
Right.
It's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you said you do a little bit of singing, a
Yeah.
little bit of music, like instruments, a little bit of actual like painting, and you also said a little bit of sculpting. If you were to like only choose one, which one would that one be?
Modeling too, there's modeling.
modeling
Is
too.
that, do you take that really serious, or is that just?
It's gradually becoming more serious as time goes on. Because I'm finding I'm falling more and more in love with it. No, because like modeling became like the opposite of what music and art were, because art and music for me were very self-driven, very selfish almost, where it was, you know, knowing myself from the inside and taking it outside.
Yeah.
Whereas modeling is flipped upside down. It's backwards to me, where I'm getting to know myself from the outside and then realizing what that means to me inside. Because I'm completely subjective. I'm completely subjected to somebody else's view of me, i.e. the photographer.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because
Or the hair and makeup artist. Like the way that she perceives you and, you know, the way she thinks will make you more beautiful is oftentimes hugely different from like a makeup look I would have chose.
Definitely.
You know, so it's so from the outside going in
that's so cool
for modeling, and that's super exciting for me. And it's so collaborative. You know?
Yeah, because like you're usually the person who's like, it's your ideas going on the paint, and now you're the paint, because now I'm the material that's being sculpted in certain ways.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So back to the question, if you would have had to pick one, which one would you? Yeah.
See, that's always the constant epiphany for me, because I always feel I have this I always have this constant like imposter syndrome feeling, where like because I'm doing all three at once and I can't seem to choose one, you know, somewhere I'm gonna fall short and mess up this whole image. Like, if I had to choose one,
Here, let me paint an easier picture for you.
Okay.
You have a lucrative offer for all four of them. All of them are of equal value, meaning let's just to put a number, they're all saying 10 million, 10 million, 10 million. But once you do this, you're locked in, and you can't go back, and you can't mess around. It's just one.
oh my god.
That's tough.
That is tough, it really is.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, objectively, if I really,
Which one gives you like
there's two different arguments I have every time I face these kinds of questions. It's, you know, what's gonna support you, i.e. make you money, but, you know, money isn't everything, so therefore what's gonna actually like enrich you and make you happy?
Yeah.
Like,
But here's the thing now. In this scenario, all four of them are providing you the money, so it's more so what makes you the happiest.
what makes you fulfilled inside?
like I'm biting my tongue, because what I say today is probably not gonna be the same as tomorrow,
definitely.
because like my experience in each
Energies
of
and
these
all
fields is always changing.
Yeah.
Like I want to say modeling right now just because I'm super excited about the work I've recently done and have recently uploaded. Not all of it yet, but some of it. I'd probably say music in that case.
Yeah.
And music, that was the original dream. As a young girl, my mother and we had a karaoke machine, and I just wanted to be a rock star. That was my thing. That was like the original spark, was can I be Britney Spears?
What was the one song that you'd always sing?
Oops, I did it again.
Awesome.
And like that one Evanescence song too that came out around the same time.
Massages?
No, it was probably Wake Me Up, like the beginning part where it's just her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was always a song I sang.
Okay, cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So when did singing start for you?
Singing started as early as it could. Honestly, like I was already singing at like 4 or 5 years old.
Wow.
As soon as I could. Like music is everywhere. You're listening to it as an infant without even realizing it.
That's true.
So I mean, you know, automatically just picked that up, started mimicking it, and became just like an obsession. Yeah. I was always in choir, constantly in choir, all throughout elementary, all throughout middle school. I was super interactive with the choir. I was always, you know, trying to like be involved in decisions and such, and always, you know, auditioning for the solo parts and everything.
When did you kind of like realize singing can kind of like take over?
right around the same time aren't.
Yeah.
That's why it's been this constant dilemma.
Yeah.
Because like they both occurred to me at right about the same time where I was like, I could take art really seriously because I've always done this. And I've always been I've always, had good ideas. I've always been a really conceptual artist. It's more to the technical side where I'm building up and getting better, which I think is a better position to be in. But same thing with singing, where it's just, I understand the emotions, I know how to emote, I know how to connect with people, and that became really clear to me, and that's how I can connect with others, because I felt really isolated,
Right.
Growing up. I always felt weirdly isolated, and again, that imposter syndrome comes back in, where I feel like I'm always faking it, but when I'm on stage, there's nothing to be faked, there's just, you're in that moment, you're in that now, and I think that's the same reason that performance art appeals to me too, because you're in that now, there's no other, right? You're just so completely focused, engaged.
Right.
Literally, you're not even thinking, you're just doing it.
Yeah.
And by faking it, do you mean kind of like living your everyday life and how others portray you to be?
I suppose.
Yeah.
It's such a tricky thing for me to explain, this whole feeling like an imposter. It's just, I guess I try to put out this certain image, like obviously I've dealt with a lot of like perfectionist tendencies. I always kind of justified that as long as I was, doing well in these particular few things, it would make up for like all these other things that aren't doing so well.
Right.
And as soon as, any of these few good things become jeopardized, or at least it feels like it to me, I lose my mind.
Gotcha.
And that's where I really struggle. And I think that's why I've kept all three, because I've always felt the need to have a backup. Constantly. Always feel like I need a backup. And even like, what if none of those work? Then I need another backup, and another backup, and another backup.
With backup, right, and this kind of connects with.
I think I know you.
Yeah, the next question was, where do you see yourself, or where do you want to be the next few years? And with backup, right, it always comes in. We've talked about this in the podcast before, that sometimes backups could be a handicap.
They
right?
totally can, because, if you want, to sail across and get to, paradise or success or whatever you want to call this island over here, go there and burn the ships.
Exactly.
And you'll have to make it work.
Right.
A cool story I heard, Sylvester Stallone, Rocky, right?
Yes!
That movie's so inspirational.
I'm so familiar with that story.
Yeah, but the story, right,
That's
where
all the time.
the time when he was trying to break out as an actor, he's
Yeah.
with his wife, he has a dog, they're super poor, like
He had to sell the dog.
Yeah, he had to sell his dog, dude.
No.
And when people were asking him, like, yo, why didn't you just get a side job? He's like, because if I got a side job, I might have got
You'd be
busy
distracted.
with that and distracted, and I wouldn't focus on the acting.
Wow.
I
Apparently,
feel like that's where I need to go.
definitely.
Like, that's
I
what we
have
used to
these
do.
kinds of
Like,
things all the time where I'm like, there's so many things that I feel like definitely hold me back. All these like thinking of backups and not choosing one, like just the fact that I'm not focusing on one or the other definitely holds me back.
definitely. Because like, you can't go to the next level. Because,
Yeah.
it's like, imagine because you're one person, right? And let's just say, obviously,
And that's the
you're
thing is that I'm trying to be more than one person, but I only have one physical body.
And that's the hard part. It's not even, I feel
That's-
like you are being the same person, it's just you're building 2 different houses, or in your
Yeah.
case 4, right? You're only
Yeah.
one builder. If you want to be efficient, you can build one house, right? Because you don't have forever. Essentially, you don't have forever. So you can either build one solid house, or you can build four half houses, right?
Yeah.
And what do you really want? Right? So that, go into the next question then, where do you want to be?
It's an excellent
Where
transition.
do I want to be? I mean, I want to take off. I want to be able to, break through. I want to get started, whether that's, musically and like creating like a band or, developing like a really stable, solid connection with a particular guitarist or pianist is usually the way it worked in the past. I think the next step is just, fully committing, fully diving in, whether that means I have to jump ship from the others for a while and, only dip into them occasionally, who knows, but I definitely feel the need to choose.
And it's not an easy thing too, right?
No, God, no.
Yeah.
But like when you're like right now as of today, right, and all that, because for me it's like back to the book I'm reading, Compound Effect, and just life in general, right? Everything you do today kind of affects like compoundly of what happens tomorrow or in the late future.
Yeah.
Something as minor as like making your bed in the morning might not seem such a big
It's
deal.
just a 10% shift here, right?
Exactly.
And you
it's
follow
a
it out.
growth,
Yeah.
So like just like going to the gym, obviously the first day you could.
Oh, I'm all about the gym.
You know, you work out your first. Yeah.
Your girl is all about the gym.
You work out the first day, right? But you're not gonna
sucks.
see visible results.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
It may be day 2, you're still not going to actually see visible results. And realistically, you could go 2-3 weeks and you won't see visible results.
Yeah.
But if you were to take a picture at day 1 and week 3, that's when you're like,
Then you see it, yeah.
there is results.
It's that leg time.
Exactly.
Yeah, I hate leg time. I despise it. I hate it because that's like the growing pains. Is those leg times where you feel like you're not going anywhere, you're in a rut. Like I was literally telling my friend yesterday, I feel like I'm going nowhere. And he was like, bruh, you have a podcast tomorrow, like what are you saying? Like I get so caught up in my own head.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, just in that process of where I'm going, I get so caught up in the next steps that I'm not even fully aware of where I'm actually at presently.
Right, definitely. And that also comes
to
into
ground myself
being, that grounding yourself is key, but you gotta make sure, are you just busy or are you being productive, right? Because there's a difference.
That's like smart working smart and then hard, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but like, let's do a quick little visualization activity. If you were to close your eyes right now and you're just looking 10 years into the future, okay? Or let's just say 15 for the sake. And all the practices you've been doing this year, yesterday, the day before that, all of this year, the past few months, what do you think that is going to make it look like 15 years from now? Where do you see yourself?
There's a lot of work. There's a lot of just paintings everywhere,
It's
honestly. Lots of things. I don't throw away paintings. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
I keep almost all the work unless I've sold it or given it as a gift.
And you just be selling your pieces to like survive, or would you still be working 15 years from now?
I think I'd have something else going on. I feel like art would be a background thing because that's my own selfish thing.
Okay.
I don't know if it would be a career. I think I'd like to see myself actually taking music seriously and taking off and doing that.
Okay.
For several years. I love that.
That's awesome.
No, because I feel like there's so much I still haven't even let myself dive into or touch musically because I've been so headstrong and focused on art.
Okay. And then the last question before we move on to the final segments, we're coming towards the end, is what's your why?
Why I do it?
Yeah, for everything. Like every time you started a new thing, from like painting to singing to sculpting, what was your why?
That's always a big question.
It is a big
because
question.
I know a lot of people they kind of just I'm not saying you're doing this, but a lot of people are kind of like interested in the field, whether it's for the money or it makes them feel good or whatever. He's really asking like your why. Like why did
what
you
drives you?
Why did you pick up that brush? Like why are you? What's the purpose?
Because the interesting thing
Right.
is, if
What's
your
the
why,
point?
like no,
Yeah.
and here's the thing. This is what kind of separates most people. Is if your why is strong enough,
Oh, you'll do it.
You'll do
get
it.
to it.
Right.
right? So obviously it can be developing, but as of now, what is your why?
As of right now, okay, so a little dark, a little trigger warning, I suppose, would be needed for this. But about a year ago, back in March, I had actually gotten to a point mentally I was not doing well. It got to a point where I'd actually attempted to take my own life. I ended up in Royal Columbian Psych Ward for a week. And started recovery shortly after that. Received lots of therapy, a lot of treatment, which is phenomenal. I have to say, like Tri-Cities mental health is a phenomenal facility, and I can't express enough gratitude and just thankfulness and friends I've made through that program. I was even on antidepressants for about 8 or 9 months.
And did you attempted to, and you were
Yes.
hospitalized for attempting?
Yes, it's cool because suicide's technically illegal.
Yeah.
So luckily some friends of mine who I had told, I was so inebriated I don't remember all the details, but I'd attempted to overdose, and they called 911 obviously, And I mean, the whole event's really traumatic, and I because of disassociation, I don't remember a whole lot of it at this point. But that experience has changed me forever. That week in the psych ward was the worst, but also the best week of my life.
Wow.
Absolutely the best, because I made a lifelong friend that I'm still super close with. He was deported out of the country. He's a foreign student who also attempted suicide the exact same way, so we connected instantly. But yeah, unfortunately, because he's an international student, he was deported because he broke the law. Yeah, anyway, a month later after that experience, my closest cousin, he actually used to live with us for about a year, and we became super close, had all kinds of heart-to-heart conversations, life talks. I miss him so much, but he had also taken his own life, but he was successful in doing that.
Sorry to hear about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know, and that killed me in the inside when my father had told me that. I went through like all 7 steps in an instant. Holy shit, right?
Especially because I'll be so close to you, right?
Yeah, he wasn't even 30 too. He was 27.
Wow.
27 years old. But the thing that impacted me the most about that was when the funeral happened. We couldn't fit all the guests into the venue.
Wow.
This man was so loved, had so much potential, he was the kind of guy to do anything to make your day. He was so unbelievably charming and funny. He just couldn't grasp, his depression and other things I don't even know that were going on. He didn't want to be here, he wasn't happy. But the funeral, just like seeing the amount of pain and suffering and all his friends and family, and I just thought this could be 2 funerals.
Wow.
And that was devastating, but that also became the reason why I'm still here and why I'm doing anything and why not, because Brandon left, but I'm still here, I'm meant to be here. Why am I still here? I shouldn't be here, but I am. So at that point, there's no turning back. There's not. I have to do this.
That's a real why.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that, dude. That's a real
You
why.
haven't left your mark. That's.
Wow. I don't think we've ever got an answer like that.
No,
dude.
we haven't. No.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear about your cousin.
Yeah, and no, sorry to hear
Yeah,
about your
even
time
about you too.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
But what do you feel drove that feeling in yourself? Just life in general? Was it a specific issue? Family, girlfriend, boyfriend?
there was a lot of factors that built up to that time in my life. There was just several kind of like hits in a row that just kept happening, and it just, progressively kept driving me down and down and down and down to a point where I was like,
Damn.
I needed that way out at the time. And then just kind of realizing the pain and suffering it would cause others. Like, I hate when people say that suicide is selfish. I still do, I hate it, because like when you're at that point, you don't even think about it. You're so in here, and even here is not a good place.
Yeah, but back to selfish, right? And like,
I hate when people say
the word
it's
selfish, right, is why shouldn't you be?
Oh, absolutely, you
Right?
should, yeah.
Like I'm not saying be like a greedy asshole, stay home, keep all your money to you, but I mean like
No,
there's
but focus
certain
on
things
yourself.
where, yeah.
Focus on yourself. You come first,
Like-
absolutely.
Like, like in the airplane, right? I've been on a lot of flights this year, right?
Yeah.
So when you're sitting on an airplane, when they say if the air mask comes on and you're sitting with a
You go
child,
first.
you put your mask up first, then you assist others,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because imagine that one
Yeah.
motherfucker put it, everybody, alright, here's your mask,
And
here's
then
your
you
mask,
die.
and then you die.
Like, what's the
And then,
point?
oh, this guy's a hero,
What's the
but
point
he's
of being a
gone
hero?
to celebrate.
Yeah.
Let's celebrate. No.
No, exactly.
Like-
So, yeah.
I know the reason I understand though, because I'm open-minded. I understand why someone will say, yo, suicide is not selfish, right? But it's like, don't you think the person who's doing it has a right or has emotions that are driving him to that point, or him or her?
Absolutely. There's a
Yes.
reason. Of course.
There's
there's a
choices and
reason.
rights, right? I'm not 100% to euthanasia and stuff, but I mean like, if someone feels like they want to leave, they're living a miserable life, who are you to stop them? right? And if you're, in fact, you're selfish, because if you're not changing that person, right? Like if I knew, like, let's just say like someone in my family suicidal, I would have to try 100% to make them feel another way, right?
Yeah.
Meaning I'd have to be their everything. I'd have to provide them everything,
That's not
right?
healthy either.
but like, and like obviously you'd have to, it depends on the person, but you kind of want to shift their mind to like, okay, you know what, I'm worth being alive, right? But if I was just like, no, like if I go, let's just say my brother, right? I go to him and say, no, you're not committing suicide, I'm just forcing my opinions on him. Don't you think that's going to choke him even more?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're saying that suicide is selfish, but you're not putting 100% effort to fix a person who's committing suicide, can you really have an opinion here? Not really.
I mean, everyone is entitled to their opinion, but...
That opinion's bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
You're gonna say that,
if you've never been there, yeah, I think that there's definitely another side of the story that's really, really difficult to grasp. And I can't blame them for that. I can't blame them for not having any clue what it's like. You know, if they're lucky, you know, I'm happy for them that they've never been there.
Yeah, I can only imagine you've been at that point, the break point, because a lot of people, they attempt to suicide, and the keyword is attempt,
Yeah.
right? And there's people who actually attempted, right, where they actually tried, right? And that's kind of the difference, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, someone who attempts it is just as bad as a person who actually did it, because there's psychological issues going on. But I mean, like, you have more say if, you know, you were actually a part of it.
Yeah, like, so they don't understand the conversation, I guess. They can't be a part of it.
Take it in, like, if I thought, like, let's just say I drank something or I ingested something and I'm like, game over, I close my eyes and I wake up and I'm still alive, that'd be a scary feeling. Right? Because who knows, maybe last second before my eyes close, I'm just like, whoa, actually I want to live. Right? And then at that moment, if you never open your eyes again, you know, obviously you don't have to
most people who have survived their attempts very quickly realize that they do in fact want to be here.
But there's also the opposite story where people, they'll just attempt again.
Yes.
That's why they have those facilities, right?
That is exactly why, and that's why, you know, they let me go after a day and I voluntarily brought myself back in. Because I knew I couldn't trust myself. I knew who that person was at that time was gonna go out and do it again. So yeah, I mean, I voluntarily put myself there to keep myself safe, just because, you know, part of me already knew that it could get better. It was going to get better.
So something told you. That's cool.
Yeah, I think there's a certain kind of a decision. I mean, you know, my family was like, what's going on? We had no idea. So obviously there was...
Did that bring you and your family closer together?
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I felt like I couldn't really tell my dad much of anything growing up. I just felt a huge disconnect. And it's all on me, like it has nothing to do with him that I feel like I can't communicate with him. It's just something I've always really struggled with, because I only have one parent, I don't want to let him down. Because like, if you have two, you let one down, you still have the other, right?
Definitely.
At least for me, that's always been like a weird mind game. But yeah, I only have one, and I don't want to let him down. I definitely have that like middle child syndrome. Where you're like constantly trying to impress your parents.
Yeah.
That's me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're towards the end of the show. We've reached our mark. So we usually end off with two segments. One is the 60-second hustle, where we give you 60 seconds for you to get something off of your chest, express an opinion, share a story, or kind of give it a message.
Yeah, it could be anything you want to get off your chest that could inspire maybe a younger version of you or something.
Yeah.
And then our second one is where you call somebody on the show.
Who's gonna come on next?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that
gosh,
person's
there's
gonna...
so many names I could think of.
Somebody that's just like, you know, on
Someone, who has a hustle, and they're actually on some sort of grind.
Yeah.
And has a story.
Yeah, and they also have a right, they don't have to come on.
Right.
We just ask they respond in video.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes or no. So
Yeah.
you can start with the 6-second hustle.
Whew, okay.
It doesn't have to be 6 seconds, just up to 6
Just
seconds.
up to 60 seconds.
So my call out is going to be, there's two call outs. My first one's going to be Vincent Chorovic. He's a phenomenal artist. I respect what he's doing so much. He's completely intriguing. He was a classmate of mine at Langara, and now he's on Malik doing bigger things. My second call out would be Dan Botch. He's the lead singer of a band called the Face Plants. They're going places.
Cool.
Watch out.
Okay, awesome.
Awesome.
We can't wait to have you guys on.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And back to the hustle.
The 60-second hustle. I think the most important thing for me and like what I am getting out of this whole, like what is your why, and you know, and what's really important about being a creative and where you're going and what like why direction is so important is just, you know, focus is key. Focus is super key. Where, you know, where focus goes, energy flows.
Ooh,
Nice. I like
Yeah.
I
it.
like that.
Spiced it up.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
where
I like
energy goes, or no, where focus goes, energy flows. So choose a path, and on you go.
There you go.
I forgot. I didn't know that. That was awesome, by the way.
That's the
That was
best.
awesome. But I was listening to a podcast, right? Not to just like, you know,
Yeah,
be
yeah,
guided.
yeah.
But it's like, if you ever hear advice, and advice rhymes, run away. It's like a joke because
Yeah.
nowadays a lot of people, they're more focused on making things sound cool. But yeah.
But if it sounds cool, you
Yeah.
can remember it.
Exactly.
Just
Definitely.
saying, like.
But that's the end of the podcast, guys. We had Rachel here, shared a beautiful story. We had went through a lot of her experiences. Where can we connect with you?
My Instagram, my main personal account is Rachel Alford Studios. And if you want to check out the Your Artist for 90 Days project, that's its own Instagram. It's Your Artist for 90 Days.
Okay, and all those links will be below, guys. Thank you so much for coming out, Rachel.
Thank you.
Sweet. Awesome. See you guys later.
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah, here we come.
Some kind of
Here we come. Here we come.